I'm here today with Paul Barker, and Paul is the founder of Enter Engineering. Paul, welcome to the UK Business Podcast.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for inviting me.
Tell us a bit about Enter Engineering then.
Yeah, so Enter Engineering will be two in May, and the idea of the business is very much. I kind of saw a bit of a gap in the market for an engineer to support other engineers to progress their career. And whilst doing so, being able to link in with SMEs that are in desperate need of engineering talent. Because I think a lot of recruitment is very reactive. And I know from my experience as an engineer, sometimes you just want a discussion with somebody about, what's my opportunities, what can I do moving forward. And I think that's the missing piece with recruitment. It's very much we're expecting people to apply for a job that they know very little about. Getting a new job is a big deal. And it's something that people don't do that often. It's like buying a house. A lot of people only do it from time to time. So, where you're expecting someone to take that plunge and just apply for a job, there's a lot of barriers in that process. So what I do is very much operate as a kind of coach and mentor to engineers to make them aware of opportunities in their area. And that could be with SMEs, or it could be within education as well, which is another area that I've worked in.
Yeah, so it's a two-way process, isn't it? Recruitment. So the employer wants to get the right person, but the candidate wants to get the right job.
100%. Yeah. So I think that the power dynamic has now shifted. Once upon a time, it was very much sat with the employer, and they would be able to have their pick of all these applicants and things like that. Whereas now, I think things are a lot more different as the talent pool shrinks. Obviously, within UK manufacturing, we've got an aging workforce, and as we're losing those people, who's coming up, the same numbers aren't coming through to kind of backfill those positions. So you've got fewer engineers out there, and they are definitely more choosy and more picky over what they want. So absolutely right. Businesses need to realize they're not just interviewing the candidate, they are actually being interviewed themselves. So yeah, very much two-way process.
Absolutely. So I guess engineering companies are the bulk of your clients right now.
So yeah, I'd say that we're 50-50. So it's mainly what we're looking at is manufacturing SMEs. That's kind of like who I want to support. I think your big players, they have the kudos already. They don't necessarily struggle with recruitment because engineers will gravitate towards them naturally. Whereas you've got so many amazing SMEs that are hidden in plain sight, that really do need support. But if you can find them a good engineer that's open to that, open to those opportunities, to be involved in different things, a multitude of different things, in a fast-paced environment, being able to make a difference. But the issue is, a lot of these engineers don't know these companies exist. So I had an instance a few months ago where I placed a senior quality engineer with a company that was 7 minutes from his house, and he didn't know that they existed. And I think that's the reality, that you've got all these companies out there, and they probably think they're more well known than they actually are. So yeah, that can be an issue for them.
So if I'm a company looking to recruit, what is it that differentiates you with all the other options that are out there, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a good question, and I think that if you look at your options for recruitment as it stands, and I'm not disrespecting anyone who works in recruitment at the moment, but a lot of recruitment agencies are just that. They are recruiters. They are people that have learned how to recruit, and they will then be placed in an area that's probably not their background. I've engaged with hundreds of recruiters, both as a hiring manager and a job seeker. I've never spoke to one engineer. And I think if you have any kind of level of depth to your questions, it's kind of just acknowledge that these people can't answer that. And that is an issue, because what you've got to think is, when we've just kind of like identified that there's a shortage of engineers, then it's really, really important from an employer's perspective that you've got a very strong message going direct to those people, because you've got one opportunity with them. And if it's a wishy-washy message where someone's just reading off a job description and they can't really answer any questions, are you going to convince that person to kind of like apply for that? They're going to think, well, I don't really know what this job is. I've asked some questions. They've not been answered. I'll just stay where I am for now. Thank you. So that's where I differ. I think that as an engineer with 25 years plus experience, and time served engineer, I started as an apprentice toolmaker when I was 16. I understand the sector. And I think that that's real for me. That is really important, and that gives me the results, not only to sell the opportunity that the employer might have, but also to be able to articulate that with engineers who will speak to me because I'm one of them. So they can talk shop with me, they can ask me questions which I can answer, and yeah, that makes a difference.
And that provides clarity and depth of knowledge to prepare them for the interview. Yeah.
100%, because what you've got to remember is there will always be lots of questions. Like if you think of it in terms of buying a house, if someone rang you up and said, right, mate, got this house for sale. It's in an area you're looking in. It's a 4-bed. You want to put an offer in? You'd be like, well, no, I don't want to put an offer in. I need to know lots more about that before you even consider putting an offer in. And I think with recruitment, we're trying to shortcut it. So employers think they can put a job vacancy up online and they're going to attract all these people. Most people, 90% of the people they want to attract, won't have seen that job vacancy, or it will be very generic or ambiguous, or there'll be a lot of mention about unimportant things. So yeah, they need a lot more information, 100%, before they're ready to even consider applying.
Yeah. So, Paul, things are going well. What does the future look like?
So yeah, I think the future for engineering is very bright. So currently got myself and 2 staff, looking to expand, and really looking to get into SMEs, within the Northwest. That's what we're targeting initially, just to really help them come up with strategic, creative recruitment processes which enable them to attract people into the business. It's not rocket science. It's not a massive shift from, in terms of what they're already doing. In a sense, it's just joining it all up to make a very attractive package, which when you present that to a local engineer, they think, wow, this sounds interesting. I want to hear more. So that's the goal.
Good. And along the way, in the couple of years you've been running the business, what have been the learnings for you, Paul?
I think when I started the business, I thought, right, imagine this, an engineer having a recruitment business. Everyone in the land's going to sign up. And what I quickly realized is people do not like recruitment. They don't want to engage with recruiters always. And I think some of it is just down to really bad experiences in the past. But it always amazes me, because I think, well, what is your strategy? So there was one business that I approached, and I don't often do this, but I came across a local engineer that was brilliant, and I knew this business were recruiting. So I contacted them and said, look, I've got someone here 2 minutes from where you are. Brilliant. This is what they're looking for. I know that you need this. Do you fancy chatting with him? Sorry, we don't use recruiters. And I'm like, but I've got someone here and you've got all these vacancies, and do you not want to have a chat with him? No, we have our policies, we don't use recruiters. And I'm like, so how are you going to fill these vacancies? Do you know what I mean? And you a lot of these employers they don't have a plan. It's like the definition of insanity. Let's just keep doing the same thing and expecting that things change. So I think that's been the biggest eye opener, has been that the model is broken for me, and it needs a disrupt, and it needs a fresh approach. But there's employees are busy, but being busy can't be an excuse to not commit to bringing good people into your business.
Absolutely, yeah. And if you could start all over again, Paul, what might you do differently?
Oof, if I could start again, what would I do differently? I don't think anything, because I think the nature of starting a business is you learn from your mistakes, and that's the good thing about a business. You've got to flex. You've got to kind of pivot, and you've got to go where you need to go, and you don't know that until you just go and do it. So I think that, the first 2 years I've got it off the ground. It's a profitable business. I've got staff. I'm kind of delighted where how far I've got with it, but also I've got a very strong mission as well, and I've got vision and values behind it, and I'm doing it with integrity, which I think is really important. So trying to put a bit of belief back into recruitment, and hopefully my clients do come back to me. I've got really good working relationships, and there's a lot of them who work exclusively with me. So yeah, I wouldn't change anything, I think, is the answer.
Brilliant. All the learnings have made you what you are today.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Paul, and I wish you all the best.
Cheers, mate.